Yo, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the locker room. It is week 5 coming up here in the NFL, and it is finally October. It is currently October 4th on a swell Tuesday evening. And as always, Cody is joining me back today for this episode. How you doing today, Cody?
Hey, it's talking about that week 4. Let's go. I'm ready, man.
Yeah, I'm just more happy it's October. I mean,
Yes.
Halloween is in the air. I'm so excited. It's a great time to be alive.
October is a great month in general in terms of sports as well.
Yeah, you got base. I know you don't watch much baseball, but you got playoff baseball, hockey preseason, basketball preseason, and NFL. What more can you ask for?
I
So,
think they said like 4 of the 5 major leagues are playing in this month.
yeah, great time to be alive. So, great times for sports, great time for life. So, we're going to go ahead and get right into our NFL news for the week. And not some common news that we usually get here that we're going to talk about first. I don't know if you saw this, Cody, but Tom Brady and Giselle both hire divorce attorneys.
Yeah, I just saw that recently today.
Yeah, so that is extremely interesting as, in my personal opinion, he hasn't looked great. He looked very good last Sunday night, but he really hasn't looked like the Tom Brady we know. And I feel like this is where Tom Brady's going to shine. I feel like after this news, after this divorce stuff is going on, that is like the perfect time to go win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. So I feel like Tom Brady is a huge chip on his shoulder, and I feel like he is going to ball out from here on out. So I think this is only going to help Tom Brady as he doesn't have all these thoughts still in the back of his mind. So how do you think this will affect Tom Brady? And more importantly, how will it affect the Bucs?
Yeah, it's demon time, Tom Brady. He's about to be hitting the gym like there's no tomorrow. But yeah, definitely from a physical standpoint, I mean, there hasn't been really too many things, but mentally and outside of the game of football, he is definitely not looking the same.
Not at
And
all.
it's very easy for outside roadblocks to interfere with your athletic performance, which we have been seeing through these 4 weeks so far. I guess you could say 3 because he actually did pretty good last game.
Yeah, he did very well.
Um, but also the Bucks getting a new head coach as well. I know Bruce Arians is still on the scene, but not from the same perspective as he used to be. And Tom just worked with him for 2 consecutive seasons, and I know they had an overall good relationship. It was off and on here and there, but compared to what he was dealing with Belichick at the end of his career there, um, I would say their relationship was very good. Now I don't
Not
know how
only
their
that,
relationship. What?
not only is he has a new head coach, is that he doesn't have that offensive minded coach like he's had throughout his whole career. He's had
Right.
Belichick, and sure, Belichick isn't a great offensive mind, but he still focuses on the offense side of the ball. And then he had Bruce Arians, who was a quarterback developer who was very good. And now you switch over to Todd Bowles, who is heavily focused on the defensive side, coming from the defense coordinator position. He doesn't have as much help there as he has done in his last 22 years.
Yeah. So I think between the emotional stress, I guess you could say, outside of the game of football that Tom Brady's going through, and then also inside of the game, the relationship that he is going through right now with his head coach, basically learning the way he plays because obviously they have changed up the way they play the ball. And with Bruce Arians still being there, but he's like what, a GM or something right now?
Yeah, assistant or
Yeah.
supervisor GM, something like that.
Yeah, so basically the guys who sits in the air conditioned offices while the players are on the field, except for the New Orleans game. But but
So
yeah, I think from here on out, Tom Brady should be pretty solid if his receiver core can stay healthy, which is obviously a problem. And if um one of his receivers, I'm not naming any names, but his name's Mike Evans, who can stop getting into fights.
yeah, I mean, only should have to worry about that one more time as they play the Saints one more time. That's the only game I'd worry about. So
Part
moving
two.
on, we have some very, very, very upsetting news as running back Javonte Williams tears his ACL against the Las Vegas Raiders. A huge blow for Denver, as this is a guy who not only for Denver, but for all fantasy players, as this was a guy being taken in the second round. This was a guy where this is a league winner. People are saying he's going to break out. This is the league winner this year. And he looked like he was getting the workhorse more than Melvin Gordon each week. His snap share was continuing to grow, and now it's just going to be cut completely gone. Melvin Gordon is going to get all of the workload along with, forgot his first name, Boone, I think is his last name, as well as them signing Latavius Murray. But Javonte Williams, a huge blow to this Denver's offense and a huge blow to fantasy. Cody, does this injury affect you in any way on any teams?
The only Broncos player that I have is Sutton, and he's been honestly very good in terms of production. If Russell Wilson can just give him the targets, he'll be able to put those numbers up. But besides that, I don't think I invested in any other Broncos players, so doesn't affect me whatsoever. Obviously, the team will be affected because, like what you're saying,
To an already struggling offense.
Yeah, slowly increasing the snap count that Javonte Williams was seeing. His yardage was never the greatest. It was always kind of just like a mid-tier, 2 yards per rush, nothing crazy. I say week 1, he had very good pass game performance as well, but in the past 2 games, his pass performance wasn't the greatest. So it was mostly just rushing, but having Melvin Gordon to rely off of on is not the greatest because looking at his numbers as well, his rush attempts were most likely the same between the first 3 weeks. Obviously, Javonte Williams saw a higher snap count, but in terms of yard performance, it is almost the same as what Javonte was putting out. Melvin Gordon obviously having a little bit less, and his snap count was only a whopping 3 during their last game. So hopefully going into the following weeks, they'll be able to use Melvin Gordon a lot more, but it seems like they're going to be passing the ball more than rushing it. So,
and I think part of that reason is Melvin Gordon this year has been extremely careless with the football, as he has a whopping 4 fumbles.
Yeah.
Not great. So now we'll go on to another injury. I'm not sure how long this guy is out for, but he got hurt again. And Tua getting another concussion. Doctor wasn't there to save him because he got fired.
Yep.
So Dolphins going to be in a difficult spot, but not really, because I thought Teddy Bridgewater came in again against the Bengals and played very well. So, Cody, if you're the Dolphins, would you worry about this injury?
I'm going to go with no. It does not sound like a season-ending injury whatsoever. It wouldn't even been that bad if they treated the situation a little bit better on the Sunday that he got injured than play 4 days later and
man
just
was
worsen
gang signs this game. I don't know what he was doing.
Having that much head trauma in the span of a week is not good for your body at all. And we obviously saw that in the Thursday night game that the incident happened in. So I don't know what is going on with the Dolphins team. Obviously, before the doctor got fired, I heard a report. It was that Saturday after the Thursday night game. So they were saying how Tua is still questionable for the week 5 game. And they said that they haven't cleared him as out yet. I'm like, dude, just let the guy rest. Let him rest for at least a week. See how he feels after that week. And then bring him back in week 6 with a reduced snap count, or even let him rest on week 6 and come back full throttle for week 7. But then again, they got Teddy Bridgewater to rely off of, who is a very good journeyman quarterback and very reliable. And then he's also got 2 receiver weapons to throw to as well. So I don't think the Dolphins are in any trouble whatsoever.
Yeah, just don't rush the injury. There's no point. You already rushed him coming to this Thursday night game. He got hurt again. And if you just put him out there again, and this injury could even get worse, it could possibly lead to season ending. There's no reason to throw your season away for 1 or 2 games. You should just take your time with it and let him be. Because you can trust Teddy Bridgewater, as he's been very solid. And Cordell Patterson did land on the IR, missing 4 games. Not going to talk about that, but just wanted to mention it. Here's a very interesting thing. Cody, on Sunday, did you not mention to me is OBJ just going to sign with the team or what? Did you not say that?
Yeah, because I was starting to think, it's week 4 and we haven't heard a peep from him, and then some stuff started popping up. So
Little chatter came. OBJ visits his former team in the New York Giants. Cody, do you think we can get an OBJ with New York reunion?
I think it's possible. I also heard rumors and speculations about how he made hints about wanting to come to Green Bay and play with Aaron Rodgers. Not from a biased perspective because I'm a Packers fan. That's just what I heard. So between hearing that and him, like true rumors that he visited the Giants facility, I want to say yes, but it could just be him messing around. But I feel like he would come back, seeing as the Giants are quietly 3-1 right now. Obviously, not the greatest quarterback that they have under center, but maybe give it 2 weeks. I think OBJ will be on a team if it's not the Giants.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not like OBJ chose to leave in New York. He was traded. So I
Yeah,
think you have a great coach in Brian DeBull. So I think that there's no reason that OBJ would not want to come to New York.
I would see it happening.
Yeah, it would be
It's not
cool.
uncommon for a player to leave a team and then go back to it.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, it would be fun to see. I will say that. So that wraps up our NFL news for this week. As now we are going to be moving on to our week 4 wins and L's and our week 4 recap. 6 games to talk about today. First game we're going to talk about was early in the morning, 9:30. Sorry to all you people in California, possibly even on the East Coast, who left Alvin Kamara in their lineup because they thought he was going to play, because it looked like he was going to play. And then he just said, hour before the game at 8 a.m. or 5:30, whatever time zone you were in, he said nope. So a lot of people had a 0 in that fantasy slot, but happening in that game, Minnesota did take the victory 28-25 over the New Orleans Saints. Cody, I know that you had Dalvin Cook in this game, and I know he kind of did underperform as Madison did to take the touchdown, but overall he didn't play terrible, and overall the Vikings played pretty well. So give me your win and loss for this week.
Yeah, kind of going back to what you said about the Alvin Kamara thing. The guy I was going against, Sean, who was on last week's podcast, it started Alvin Kamara. So
Yeah,
not saying that him starting him was the reason why I won, because I still lapped 100 points on him, but it
yeah.
was a crutch. So I just wanted to say, shout out Sean for starting Alvin Kamara on your lineup. But yeah, my win and my loss, I wasn't able to watch too much of this game, but I heard a lot of chatter about the big man, Justin Jefferson, coming back and making his glorious return like he never left. Basically seeing the same, targets that we've been seeing throughout week 1 and 2, coming in at a whopping 13 targets, which is pretty solid. 10 receptions at about an 80% reception percentage. Pretty much doubling all his numbers in terms of targets and receptions from last week. So it was literally night and day, the performance that he had, getting a whopping 147 yards. And then he also had a nice little rush touchdown as well. So, I mean, Justin Jefferson had an amazing performance that week, and we'll see if he can stay consistent, because I feel like right now, consistency is a very big problem for Justin Jefferson in terms of completion percentage and then also targets, because his targets like to flex around sometimes, like especially last game, they went against Detroit. Oh, you think, he only got 6 targets. Now, that could be a little bit of Jeff Okuda, but
I mean, Jeff Okuda was kind of getting burned this week by DK Metcalf. I'm not
he
going to lie.
got absolutely torched.
He was getting lit up. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Jeff
So I don't
Okuda
want
did
to
not look
blame,
good this week.
I don't want to blame Justin Jefferson's underperformance on Jeff Okuda, because, I mean, at the end of the day, he had a 50% completion percentage for 6 and 3. So, I mean, I'm just hoping that he can stay consistent for the weeks coming, because he is like the biggest key asset of that offense. But going into my L is going to be Dalvin Cook. Now, he was questionable, but he was still fine to play. in terms of Dalvin Cook numbers that we're getting this season, he's doing like fine, I guess. And not even the snap count is a problem. It's his rushing. His rushing game is atrocious this year. He's getting 20 rush attempts in that game, and you're only going to get 76 yards. That's not that great. I mean, he's getting roughly, let me throw some numbers together. So he's getting about 4 yards a carry, give or take, which is all right. But for Dalvin Cook numbers, it should be a little bit higher. That could just be me because I'm a greedy fantasy owner. But I mean, if he's not my number one pick, he's underperforming his all get out right now. Has not even had one 100-yard rushing game, which is kind of bad, and was only able to get one touchdown from last week, and this week still nothing because Madison took it from him. So Dalvin Cook is kind of looking mid-tier right now, pushing into the top tier, and I'm hoping that he can just continue with the snap count and hopefully get better yardage on that. But I mean, they're going to be going against Chicago, which their run defense is not the greatest, seeing as Saquon Barkley had an absolute movie night. Saquon Barkley ran over them.
Saquon Barkley's running over everyone. I mean,
yeah. So if Dalvin Cook's not as good as Saquon Barkley, at least this season, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So my win as well going to be Justin Jefferson. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, nothing much to say. Jefferson looked great. I mean, he scored the game-winning touchdown. He was getting receptions there, left, right, up in the field. He was looking great. My L, gonna be a little unfair, but it's gonna go to Will Lutz as the double doink. I know it's not his fault. Maybe
you can't blame that on him.
I'll put it on the goalpost.
L's the goalpost.
L goes to the goalpost. I mean,
it ain't calibrating those things right in London, man.
I know. London, what are you doing, man? They rigged it. So it hits the inside part. Like it kind of goes in. The ball goes in, but then hits it. And then the goalpost hits the like flat part of the goalpost, and then
crossbar.
Yeah, excuse me. Hits the crossbar, and the goalpost is like, nah, and flips it right out. I mean, terrible way to end the game.
You couldn't have just pulled a Justin Tucker to where he hit the crossbar and it kind of just like bounced in.
Exactly. I mean, what are we doing, London? I mean, you got to get these goalposts right. Bounces out, and I was kind of upset because I had Chris Olave and I wanted more fantasy points, but
I thought it was kind of funny because they were literally, I think the Vikings like finished everything up and they were celebrating. And I think there was like 40 seconds or something, I can't remember, left on the clock for the Saints to turn around and get a score. And they did.
Olave, big catch.
And they get lined up for the field goal, and then the double doink happens.
Man, tough one to go. Talking about tough one to go. Boy, we got a game to talk about in Detroit. 48-45. Seattle gets the victory over the Lions. I mean, holy moly. This game was crazy. My win is going to be Rashad Penny because he was running all over Detroit. Every time we were like, okay, Lions need to stop. Rashad Penny would come through. He would put his head down and run for 10 yards.
Easily.
Rashad Penny was awesome this game. He was doing it out of the backfield. He was catching them. He was taking the pitch. He was doing everything for Seattle. I mean, he was ultimately one of the biggest reasons they won this game. Now, L is going to be the Detroit defense. I really want it. Like, how do you score 45 points and still lose? That does not make sense to me. I mean, you score 45. You're the highest. I think they are the highest scoring offense in the NFL, and they are 1-3. That is absolutely absurd. That is horrible. Absolutely crazy. That is how bad their defense is. If they could get a below average. I mean, their defense is at horrendous right now. If they could get a below average defense, they are 4-0 right now. It is that simple. I don't even know what to say. This defense looked terrible. Lions offense, bravo. Hands off to you. You kept him in the game. Cody, I know who your dub's going to be, so I'm going to let you go ahead and do it.
Yeah, my boy, Mr. TJ Hawkinson. Oh my God. I have him on my fantasy team, and I had him in mind as my tight end number one in when I was drafting, and because I had him last year, very reliable, very well producing tight end. So I knew I wanted him on my team. And starting off the season, his first two games were not the greatest, and I was kind of starting to contemplate my decision. Starting to look at him a little bit differently. Had a little bit better producing game in week 3, and week 4 was absolutely disgusting. Breaking the breaking the team's record for the most yards by a tight end in a single game. So broke the Lions record there, was roughly 30 yards off of the league record, which is insane.
Crazy.
And for a tight end to be a receiving leader throughout the entire day was insane. He went 12 for 8 off of 8 receptions. Mind you, one of them was like an 80-yard run. He had 179 yards with 2 touchdowns.
He almost
and
had
a
that
2-point
third
conversion.
one. He almost had that third one.
Almost had a third one too.
It was really close.
And then he could have gotten one off that 80-yard one as well.
Yeah, very, very close to reaching 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, TJ Hawkinson, absolutely amazing. Obviously, he's going to be having a lot lower of a number next week since he's going against New England. Their defense is pretty solid, so I'm expecting at least 10 to 15 points from him compared to the 37, almost
40.
38 points that he dropped. Absolutely disgusting, but he's a really important part of the Lions' absolutely insane offense. They scored 45 points, and they were missing Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then they were also missing DeAndre Swift as well. 2 really big parts of their offense as well, and they were still able to produce from that. 2 key parts
of their offense.
Yes. And Jamal Williams and TJ Hawkinson stepped up to the plate and produced absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, they said thank you. They produced like none other.
4 touchdowns for Goff. I think Jamal had 2 with 100 yards.
Hawkinson had 2.
Clicking, man. They looked great.
Yeah, and then my L is going to be the Lions defense. So like Landon was saying, they're horrible. Like I was saying all week, you can't score 45 points and lose the freaking game. And 2 big plays that they gave up to Rashad Penny. One at the very, very late fourth quarter. The Lions just got their touchdown. Seahawks got the ball, blah, blah, blah. And it's like 3rd and 6, and they need to stop him so that they can have a chance at getting the ball back. And what do? They let him get like a 20-yard run.
Yep.
And then there was a play before that where they needed to stop him. It was like 3rd and 5 or something. And they let him run
40-yard touchdown.
Yeah. 40-yard touchdown. Like if they didn't let him score that touchdown, then obviously their chances of winning would have been higher.
If you get one of those stops, this game is a whole different story.
Yeah, and they let him, 2 crucial plays, and they just gave it up to him. You can't do that.
Offense
is absolutely amazing.
That's
the defense
the Lions'
is horrible.
way to lose. 45 points and you still lose.
Yeah, and Sean was right about me drinking all that Kool-Aid.
I said, all right, we all pick the Lions. Now they're going to lose.
Yeah, right.
Lost.
Lions fashion. I'll start drinking more Kool-Aid if they get a better defense.
Geez, it was rough. All right, moving away from that dumpster fire, we're going to move to the Jets getting a 24-20 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers as Zach Wilson returns to face Mitch Trubisky. But that was not the matchup by the end of the day, as Trubisky got benched. And Kenny Pickett came in to try and lead the Pittsburgh to victory, but did not succeed as the Jets got the 24-20 victory. Thoughts on this game?
This game was kind of hard to watch, not gonna lie, but watching the Jets perform at a somewhat, I guess you could say like a subpar level, um, was pretty cool because you're used to watching the Jets suck and then they actually turn around and won the game. Zach Wilson's first game back after Joe Flacco for 3 weeks. Now, I'm going to give my W to Zach Wilson only for the key factor that he was able to return. And on that returning game, he was able to win. His numbers were kind of moderate. I mean, 250 pass yards, and then
He's got to take care of the football better.
he
Can't
he
have those
got 1 and
interceptions.
2 on touchdown interception.
Yeah, that's
So
the thing. You can't have those interceptions.
yeah, besides that, I mean, 250 yards is pretty all right. And then obviously pulling the Philly in the red zone. That was the
Yeah,
best
I
play
forgot
ever.
about that.
Getting Zach Wilson to gritty on the Steelers too. Does it way better than Mike Gesicki. So I think Mike
I
Gesicki needs to meet in private lessons with Zach Wilson.
mean, Zach Wilson pulled it out.
Yeah. So for the key factor of Zach Wilson's first week being back and then he won, I'm just gonna give him a dub on that. Numbers wise, he wasn't the greatest. Obviously my L is going to be Mitch Trubisky. Once again, for obvious reasons, because
He got his
he
ass
only
benched.
threw, he got benched, only threw for 84 yards and an
Ooh,
interception.
ooh.
So even when he was still in the game, because they brought Kenny Pickett in the second half of the game, right?
Yes, they did.
So if you're finishing the first half with 80 yards, that's horrible. You need to be finishing with at least 100 to 150 yards.
I mean, yeah,
Average. Average.
I totally agree. I mean,
And Mr. Trubisky, is not like he doesn't have anyone to throw to.
he has one of my W's in a receiver. I'll get to him in a bit, but I'll just say his name. George Pickens, great rookie out of Georgia. Chase Claypool can be great, and then you have Deontay Johnson, who's one of the best route runners in the league. There's no
Yeah.
excuse, and you got Najee Harris out of the backfield. There's no
Yeah.
excuses. No
No
excuses.
excuses at all.
Not at all. So I'll get into my win, and that is George Pickens. 6 catches for 106 yards. Really, really looked good this week as he was able to catch and get yardage, which I really like to see out of him. Then my L, we just tapped on it. Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, not only get benched, you said he did not look good, and they were losing when he got benched, as he does not bring a spark to the team, like Mike Tomlin said, as he did not look too excited in that interview. But Mike Tomlin said they needed a spark. Kenny Pickett, sure, gave more of a spark than Mitch Trubisky did, in my opinion. So that's why I get my win to George Pickens and my L to Trubisky. Now moving on to a team we touched on a little bit earlier.
Hey, really quick, I got some breaking news for the I guess you could say non-football fans. We got some baseball news. Aaron Judge leads off game versus Rangers with 60-second home run to break Roger Maris's American League record. So Aaron Judge now holds the title. ESPN's been oohing and eyeing about him all week, so finally gets that moment.
Well, that's probably the one time they didn't put it on, is when
right. Right.
Go Red Sox. I hate Aaron Judge. Come to Boston. But anyway, talking about Aaron Judge, they're saying it's the record, but there was Cody, I don't know if you knew this, but there's a guy named Barry Bonds. He did steroids, hit 73 home runs in a season, but they don't count it because he did steroids. So
yeah, the non-PED record.
Yeah. I still think it counts as because you still got to put the bat on the baseball. It's hard to do. So
yeah, but then he had that extra strength to get the ball out of the park.
I know, but I count it as 73 or whatever. But we'll move on to a team that we touched on a little bit ago. The New York Football Giants. 20-12 win over the Chicago Bears. My win, gonna be Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley has been amazing this season. Clearly the RB1 in fantasy. Clearly showing himself to be the best running back in the league so far through these first 4 weeks. Saquon has pretty much won the Giants some of these games. Daniel, I've really liked also what they've done with Daniel Jones as they've got him to use his legs. This is a thing that I love about Brian Daboll is that he finds the best out of his quarterbacks, even if they're not good, and he usually utilizes their strengths. As he made Josh Allen who he is, and now he's making Daniel Jones a very vertical threat with his legs, is that is a very interesting thing to see, as it makes the Giants possibly a top 5 rushing team in the league. Then my L, going to be Velus Jones. He didn't have a terrible game, but he did have a terrible game because he dropped that final punt return, which ultimately led to the Bears not getting a chance to tie the game, even though they might not have, because their offense has been horrible these past 4 weeks. But the fact that he didn't give them a shot is why he's going to be my L. Who do you got, Cody?
Yeah, my W is going to be Saquon Barkley again. He had 31 rush attempts, which is absolutely insane. I don't know any other running backs that are getting 31 rush attempts, and was able to finish with 150 yards at about 4 to 5 yards a carry, which, that's pretty average numbers, but he's just getting fed the ball right now, and he is being a very good part of that offense. They are looking pretty solid, and his receiving yards as well. He's actually very consistent at receiving, and then he also played quarterback too, so man can do it all.
He did.
Yeah, a little part in the game that put Saquon under center because they're like, you can do it. Put Daniel Jones on the outside.
You're better than Daniel Jones.
Yep. And then my L is going to be the Bears defense for obvious reasons. Literally letting Daniel Jones score on like 2 of the exact same plays in the red zone, letting him just simply run into the outside edge of the end zone, making their defense look horrible. And the fact that he was able to do that twice is insane. Daniel Jones' numbers from a throwing perspective was not the greatest. His yards and completion percentage was not the greatest. But, I mean, he had 2 rush touchdowns, which obviously led to the Giants getting their win.
Yeah, absolutely. That rushing attack has been lethal for the Giants. Now, if they could just get that pass game going, they could be a real threat in the NFL. Now moving on to Cody's favorite team back with the Packers and Patriots. Packers get the victory 27-24 in the final seconds of overtime. Cody, take it away with your favorite team.
Yeah, so this was kind of a scary game to watch. Patriots lost Brian Hoyer. Patriots lost Brian Hoyer in the first quarter, and they had to bring in Bailey Zappi, I think his name is, right?
Yeah.
Had an all right performance, and the Packers offense was looking mid-tier apart from Aaron Jones, who I'll get to in a little bit. Aaron Rodgers was putting up like subpar numbers. He's been like consistent. It's kind of weird. He's been very consistent with his numbers throughout the past 3 weeks, comparing them, throwing for an average of like 240 yards, getting 2 touchdowns per game. And then he threw a pick 6 in this game, but we're not going to count that. Just disregard Aaron Rodgers' pick 6. But I mean, he was putting up just mid-tier numbers. Like Aaron Rodgers should be putting up, I guess, a little bit better. But I mean, with the loss of Devontae Adams, it's expected for Aaron Rodgers' performance to go down. He did, though, in that game, throw his 500th career touchdown pass, which is a huge milestone for him. So that's very good for that. And then, like I said, the W for me is going to be Mr. Aaron Jones. He was averaging about like 7 yards per carry in that game, and it's absolutely insane. Every time you watched him get the ball, it was either a 2nd and 5 or another 1st and 10. That's what it felt like the entire game. He's so consistent, and he's so good at running the ball. It's amazing. He had 16 rush attempts, which is the highest amount of ball carries that he's seen throughout the season so far. Finished with 110 yards, which is only under his 15 rush attempts, 132-yard performance in week 2. No rushing touchdowns, sadly, but like I said, if you're getting 7 yards per carry, that's the greatest performance. That's all you need. Because that's able to move the Packers down the field so easily, get them in the red zone, and either get that field goal, get the touchdown, this and that. Now, my L is going to be A.J. Dillon, who isn't that bad. I mean, he had a pretty mid game. I'm just saying that he could have performed a little bit better. I know the Packers are looking at flexing A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones a lot, and they're doing, honestly, a fantastic job of doing that this year. And it's really interesting to see the plays that they make up with both of them when they're on the field at the same time. I think it's very confusing for the defenses to read, and the Packers are able to capitalize on that. There were two plays that NFL Red Zone when I was watching it that they covered about how they would kind of sway the motion of they would fake a handoff, then they would sway like AJ Dillon out to the right, and then Aaron Rodgers would end up dropping back and then throwing it to say like Tunyon running a slant or something, basically making the defense shift to the direction of the running back so that Aaron Rodgers can throw to the other direction. I just think it's really cool how they're able to do those plays. But I mean, AJ Dillon, if you look at him and Aaron Jones's numbers, like stat to stat, their handoffs and their ball carries are like almost one of one. They're getting pretty much 50% of, they're basically getting a fine 50-50 snap count. And that's
Yeah,
really good for
yeah, they are.
fantasy owners. But in terms of yardage, Aaron Jones just came out on top, was able to be a little bit more consistent. And yeah, but AJ Dillon, still a really good running back, just kind of a mid performance.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, how is there anyone to go but Aaron Jones? I mean, Aaron Jones was completely awesome this game and completely awesome throughout the season besides that week in Tampa. But overall, he was great. I mean, his average is so superior to Dylan. I think they just need to give him the ball more because they have similar touches. And then Aaron Jones is outrunning him by 4 yards on average almost every play. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Aaron Jones, hell of a game. That is why he is going to be my W. My L, there isn't really a player who has been bad this game, but you have to pick an L somewhere. And I'm gonna go with Devontae Parker. I mean, only 2 receptions. I don't know if that's because he's not getting open or they're running the ball a crap ton, but from coming off an 8 reception, 156 yards game to coming to this 2 catch or 26-yard game, just not a very exciting performance by him. So I would just like to see more out of him. That's all. No bad performances through this game in my eyes. And moving on to the Sunday night football game and our final game here in our recap, we have Kansas City Chiefs getting the 41-31 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I actually have a not necessarily shocking victory, but you don't normally pick a win for a quarterback who lost, and that's going to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady, they had him throw the ball a crap ton. I think he threw the ball over 56 times, and he threw for 380, I think 3 touchdowns. I mean, he looked very solid. Normally like that Brady that we used to know. I mean, he looked very good this game. He was finding his receivers, and he was finding the receiver that got open the most, and he was finding his best receiver on the field. That was Mike Evans. He was able to make sure he gets him the ball, and that is a hard thing for a quarterback to do, but he was able to do it. And that leads into my L. As I said, he threw the ball 56 times, but that's because they rushed the ball a total of 6 times. So that's why my L is going to be the entire Patriots rushing game. I mean, I don't understand how people win football games and you run the ball 6 times. It just doesn't happen. The rushing game has to be a part of your game if you want to win football games. I mean, look at the Packers. They're giving Aaron Jones the ball. They're winning football games. Josh Jacobs won the game for the Raiders. Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones are winning games for the Giants with the running game. I mean, you cannot win football games without the running game, and the Patriots really failed to execute that in their matchup against Kansas City. So that is why I'm going to give the rushing game my L.
Yeah, going into my W and my loss, my W is going to be Mike Evans. He was able to get 10 targets for 8 receptions. So obviously a cool little 80% completion percentage there. And it's also his welcome back game after being suspended. So, I mean, for him to be able to put up these numbers after being suspended is great. Also noted that he's got the most amount of touchdown receptions from any receiver in Buccaneers history. So that just kind of shows how glorified he is. I think Mike Evans is a very good and a very consistent receiver, and he's honestly one of my favorites, which is why I made a shoot to pick him up in fantasy again this year after owning him. I believe I had him last year as well. So, I mean, obviously I'm going to want the consistency back, and Tom Brady had an amazing game, so that kind of, one-on-one with each other. And you can tell Tom Brady wants to throw to Mike Evans. He's
All the time.
without a
He's always
doubt,
looking for him.
yes, he's without a doubt Tom Brady's wide receiver one, like no question. Chris Godwin's in and out of injuries right now. Leonard Fournette is getting more passing than rushing yards, so which is freaking weird. But a good example is there was a time when they were making, I think it was like third quarter or something in the game, and the Patriots were in the red zone and they were going for a touchdown pass, and Mike Evans was cutting across the back of the end zone. Tom Brady threw it to him, and then he got hit. I don't remember who
he
hit
got
him.
rocked. I saw
He
that.
got rocked, and an instant flag, hit on a defenseless receiver, whatever. After that play, Tom Brady continued to throw to him for 2 plays. That just shows how much that he's targeting him. So after that hit, he targeted him in the right side of the end zone, and then he also targeted him in the left side of the end zone. Both of those attempts didn't end up with a touchdown, but I mean, just showing that Tom Brady really favors Mike Evans, and that's for pretty obvious reasons. A player that I was hinting at before is going to be my loss, Mr. Leonard Fournette. For a running back, he's doing absolutely atrocious. In
This
terms
game, he was
of
decent. Past games.
yeah. For week 1, amazing. Week 2, amazing. Week 3 was like 12 attempts for 35 yards is kind of bad. And then he went 3 rush attempts for -3 yards.
Ouch.
How do you finish a game like that as a running back? Then if you go over and look at his receiving stats, he went 7 for 7 for 57 yards and a touchdown. That's like receiver stats right there. You can't. I get that teams are really trying to involve running backs in the passing game, but you got to, in the end of the day, they're a running back.
As
And
I
you got to
said,
make
you
sure that they
gotta
do what they're good at.
Got to be able to run the ball. And the Tampa just did not want to do that last game. I get they were down, but you have to run the ball.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for a better run performance from Leonard Fournette. I mean, it's not a bad thing that he's being that consistent in the throw game, but I mean, if you're going to go yourself a running back, you should be running more than passing the ball, unless he's just going through a midlife crisis and he thinks he's a receiver now.
I mean, yeah. If anyone's going through a midlife crisis, I think it'd be Mike Evans. Because that hit looked rough.
I mean, it's so funny when he gets hit like that and he makes that little hand gesture, and then the refs will throw the flag like a second or two later. I watched him do that like 2 or 3 times during the game.
Is he got hit, and I don't know but it looked like he got hit, and he looked like he was hurt, and then he saw the ref go touchdown, and he got up right away. I'm like, if let's say he like waiting for like the ref to call incomplete, and so he could act like he was like hurt, so they could throw a flag or something. I thought that he was trying to act that out a little bit. That looked a little funny, but
oh yeah.
Anyway, he got to the ball and he caught a touchdown, but the Chiefs caught the win. So that is going to wrap up our week 6. Jesus, man, I am losing it. Week 4 recap, as we will now move on to our week 5 2-minute drill here on the locker room. Let's put that timer on the clock, Cody. You ready?
I don't know, man.
Well,
last week there was a lot of upsets. Not gonna lie. But yeah, I'm ready.
Cody, what do you think your record was last weekend? Your guesses?
Oh God. There were a lot of games that I picked that ended up going the opposite way that I wanted to. But how many games in total were there last week?
16.
16. So I think I'm gonna go. Let's just say I think I'll have more wins than losses. Say I have 2 more wins than I had losses. Whatever number that being.
You went 7 and 9.
Damn. Not even close.
I went
completely opposite of what I said.
I went 9 and 7, so that puts me up to a total of 15 wins on the season to a whopping 17 losses. And so I'm 15 and 17, and you are 13 on the year. So
I mean, to be fair, I picked the Texans over the Chargers, which was a
I
ballsy
did too,
move.
man. I did too.
I'm Chargers are my second favorite team. Justin Herbert's my boy. I'm sorry, Justin Herbert. I'm not picking against you ever again.
Foreshadowing. So we're going to start off our week 5 here. Let's put that timer on the clock. Here we go. Colts, Broncos.
Let's go. I'm gonna go an upset right off the rip. I'm gonna go Colts because the Broncos offense is a mess, even though they're 2-2. If JT can step it up, I think the Colts will win.
I'm going to go to the Broncos. I think this is the game that their offense gets it going. New York versus Green Bay in London, 9:30 a.m. game.
Oh, can't pick against the Packers. It's gonna be a good game because the Giants are looking pretty solid for a 3-1. But after Packers last game, walking through New England, I'm gonna go with the Packers because Aaron Jones is just that guy.
I think it's going to come down to the passing game, and I do trust Rodgers more in the passing game than Daniel Jones. So, going to go with Green Bay. Detroit versus New England.
God, I'm gonna pick New England. I mean, they're both 1-3, but if the Lions defense is horrible, they're gonna score the points and then not be able to capitalize. But Patriots offense isn't looking that great right now, but they do have a good defense, and I think that's what's gonna win it for them.
Oh boy, if the Lions lose this game, they need more than a prayer because you're going up against a rookie quarterback out of Western Kentucky who did play very well there, I must admit. But you're going up against a quarterback out of Western Kentucky, second start ever. He's a third string quarterback. If you give up over 25 points, there is an issue. I'm going to go Detroit. Pittsburgh versus Buffalo.
Buffalo for sure. The Steelers looked horrible and they were able to get the Jets all over them. I mean, they got Kenny Pickett starting, but he still didn't even look that great. And the Bills weren't even looking that great over the Ravens, and they kind of threw the game. But overall, the Bills have a way better offense than the Steelers do.
I think they have the better offense and the better defense. I mean, can't bet against Josh Allen. I'm going Buffalo. Miami versus the Jets.
I'm gonna go. God, this is let's go with the Dolphins just because Zach Wilson's numbers weren't that great, and they got Teddy Bridgewater with 2 weapon wide receivers, so I'm gonna go Dolphins.
I think the upside with Zach Wilson is higher than the upside with Teddy Bridgewater, so I'm going to go with Zach Wilson and the Jets here. Atlanta versus Tampa.
I'm gonna go Buccaneers, especially after the game that they had last week against the Chiefs, who's apparently ranked number 1 in the league now, which makes no sense, but we're not gonna get into that.
I mean, yeah.
I think the Buccaneers are definitely going to beat the crippling Falcons because their offense situation isn't looking that great right now, especially with Cordell Patterson being out.
Tom Brady got served them divorce papers. Now he has ice in his veins. He is going to win every game from now on.
Oh yeah.
Tampa, give me Tampa. Seattle versus New Orleans.
I'm gonna take Seattle because of the way their offense was producing the highest amount of numbers against Detroit, and it seems like the Saints are kind of in an offensive crisis right now. I mean, they got Andy Dalton, who's might be a better bet than Jameis Winston, but if Alvin Kamara can't play or has reduced snaps, I think that the Seahawks will definitely be able to win.
Seattle just gave up 45 to. It's a tough one. I'm going to go New Orleans. I really don't have a reason. I'll just go New Orleans. Why not? Houston versus Jacksonville.
God, Jaguars all the way. I'm never gonna pick the Texans again. They look horrendous this season, and the Jaguars actually look like a pretty decent team because Doug Peterson's doing pretty good with T-Law, and James Robinson needs to get some more snaps so that I can get more points in my team.
I mean, yeah, T-Lock does look very good, and they're the better team overall in every aspect of the game. Maybe besides running back, my boy Damian Pierce. Give me Jacksonville. Now we got Tennessee versus Washington.
I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry definitely had his breakout game last week against the Colts.
Absolutely.
And the Commanders just got they got made fun of by the Cowboys, basically. They exposed the Commanders to who they are, and Carson Wentz as a quarterback as well. So give me the Titans.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tennessee too. I think that rushing game is going to be a big factor. And I feel like that they will have less turnovers because Carson Wentz is always due for a turnover. Give me the Titans. Now we got Chicago versus Minnesota.
Chicago versus Minnesota. I'm definitely going Minnesota all the way. They're actually looking like a very good team this year. And if Justin Jefferson can do good, as well as getting flex snap counts between Alexander Madison and Dalvin Cook, they're definitely due for a very good performance against the Bears offense that can't seem to get numbers on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go Minnesota too, coming off a hot win in London. I think that the passing game's there, and I do only think I think the running game's better than there too, because you got that duo between Madison and Cook. So give me the Vikings. Now we got the Chargers versus Cleveland.
Oh, like what I was saying before, give me the Chargers. They did not skip a heartbeat whatsoever during that game. And the Browns are decent, but once again, they can't really be that consistent with Teddy Bridgewater. And I think Justin Herbert's just going to be top dog.
Yeah, Justin Herbert has looked very good last week, and the rushing game has looked very good last week. So the Chargers have looked very good last week. So give me the Chargers. Now we got San Fran versus Carolina.
Oh, give me the 49ers. The Panthers are, I don't even know what the Panthers are at this
The
point.
Panthers are the Panthers are like that team in the NFL where you're like, oh yeah, they exist.
Right? Yeah, they got some good weapons. I mean, CMC just kind of seems like a mid-tier running back this season. I don't know what's going on with him. And then DJ Moore for the past, I want to say 2 games has been seeing a higher snap count, or not
I
snap
mean,
count,
yeah,
but
he
he's
had
just been
12
seeing
targets last game. He didn't do
he's been
terrible.
seeing more reception. He's been seeing more targets than Robbie Anderson, and Robbie Anderson is a good backup as well. So if he's got DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson to throw to, you think that they would be good, but the Niners defense is also pretty solid. And I think that they are going to overwhelm Baker at the line of scrimmage. So give me San Fran, even though San Fran's offense isn't the greatest, but if you let Debo run, you let Debo run.
Yeah. Here we got Dallas versus the Chargers. Or excuse me, Dallas versus the Rams.
Hmm. Uh God, I really want to take the Chargers on this one, but if Cooper Rush is starting, low key, give me the
It's
Cowboys.
the Rams. My bad.
I kind of want to, if Cooper Rush is starting, give me the Cowboys. If Dak Prescott is starting, which is honestly a stupid decision, I take the Rams. But I think it's going to be a close scoring game. Obviously, Cooper Cup's going to be getting some points on the board, but I mean, the Rams just aren't looking that great. I don't know what's
Not
going
at all,
on.
especially offensively.
I mean, you win a Super Bowl and then you're going 2-2. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, they have not looked great at all.
I'll go upset Cowboys, even though I hate the Cowboys and I picked against them last week, and I'm sorry for picking against them last
Cowboys
week.
Dak Prescott will not play versus the LA Rams. So you know what that is. Me and Cody agreeing on another hot take. We both took Houston last week against the Chargers, me and him now taking Cooper Rush against the Rams. So hot take of the week. Me and Cody both go with Dallas getting the victory over LA Rams. Cooper Rush improves to 5-0 as a starter. Hot take of the week right
Yeah,
there.
you can only be a hater for so long. I mean, that he's being very consistent coming from nothing, and now he's having a way better
Oh
season.
no, I mean, yeah. He's
Yeah,
looked
so
great.
put Dak Prescott in, and you are easily shooting yourself in the leg, Dallas.
Yeah. Philadelphia versus Arizona, the only undefeated team remaining in the NFL. That's crazy. After 4 weeks, we only have one remaining undefeated team.
Yeah, this is gonna be the Cardinals are like such a good and bad team at the same time. I don't even know how to describe
They're
it.
a good second half team. They don't do jack squat in the first half. Then the
Yeah,
second half, we're like,
they
okay, we
absolutely
need to play football.
yeah, they sit on their butts and eat popcorn in the first quarter while Kyler Murray needs so long to get in the groove. And
Oh
they'll
yeah.
play their hearts out in the second half and usually end up losing. But I mean they're 2-2 right now, but they are playing in Arizona, but I think the Eagles are way more productive of a team than the Cardinals are. But I think it's definitely gonna be a close game. But I'll take
Yeah,
the
I
Eagles.
mean, I just
I want
love
to see them go
Philly.
5-0.
I love Jalen Hurts. I have the Philadelphia Eagles advancing to 5-0. Sunday night football matchup. We have Baltimore versus Cincinnati.
I'll take I'll take the Ravens. They had a heartbreaker against the Bills, which sucks. And the Bengals just got a dub against Miami, ending their undefeated streak. But the Bengals offense and team in general is just not performing as they should. Literally suffering from the same disease that the Rams are suffering from. Both teams, former Super Bowl, and they are getting 2-2, not looking that great right now. And if the Bengals will let the Ravens offense produce in terms of just letting Lamar throw the ball and mostly run it, because Lamar is putting up a lot of rushing numbers this year. I think that the Ravens are going to win.
I'm as well going to go with the Ravens. And the thing is, we both know that both teams can be able to throw the ball, as Lamar has proved that, but Bengals haven't been able to rush the ball, and Baltimore has. So the Bengals not being able to establish the rushing game, I'm going to take Baltimore. Now, Monday Night Football matchup, Las Vegas versus the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football.
I'm going to let you go first since it's your team.
All right. You already know who I'm picking. The Raiders are not going to win. Give me the Chiefs all day.
I was kind of seeing if you would root for your own team, but
I'll root
it's a
for
smart
them.
decision. That's a
Man.
smart decision. The Raiders, they were able to pull off their first win of the season last week, which was pretty huge after Josh McDaniels' very horrible play calling. But Josh Jacobs
Still,
was
he's
able to
terrible.
get,
He is
yeah,
still terrible.
Josh Jacobs was able to have a pretty good breakout game in terms of his performance for the
Jacobs looked
season.
great. Jacobs
And
looked great.
after the Chiefs have just been an powerhouse of a team in terms of
Until they play the
offense.
Colts.
Until they played the Colts. We don't know what happened there. But in terms of last week, like Patrick Mahomes, he's a magician. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire looking really good. Travis Kelce looking really good. I mean, you'd think that team would suffer since they just lost Tyreek Hill, but oh my
There's one
God, they
player
are
who's
not.
not looking good. Do
Give
you know
me
who
the
that is?
Chiefs 100%, man.
Do you know the one player who does not look good on the Chiefs? Corvette.
Juju.
Juju.
He's not doing anything right now.
Yeah, ever since that 1 year, ever since the TikTok dances, he has not looked good, bro.
He got I swear to God, he got CTE over that. Or
what is with these Steelers receivers getting CTE?
I know, he's got AB's problem. Like him and AB.
Don't get me started on an AB, bro. He literally put a big thing of booty right in a stranger's face.
Yeah, can we have NFL player L's outside of the league? Because I'm gonna give my L to Antonio Brown.
Bro, I cannot wait for the Antonio Brown documentary to come out. I cannot wait.
Yeah, and then he posted that picture with him and Tom Brady's wife.
Oh my God. This man has lost his mind. That hit literally changed him.
And then he keeps tweeting about teams that should sign him.
I know, he's like, I want to return to Pittsburgh. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
It's like you literally quit mid-game on Bruce Arians after having a verbal altercation with him. After getting fired from, 3 different teams in a span of 6 months. You got fired from the Steelers. You got fired from the Raiders. You got fired from the Patriots. All in a span of 6 months.
Yeah. You go to
problems.
Pittsburgh, you say, I don't want to play for you. Red flag. You go to the Raiders, call your general manager cracker. I don't want to play for you. Red flag. Go to New England. For some reason, they
cut him because I think there was some legal issues going on outside of it.
With get
involved. Yeah.
You abuse your wife.
After 1 game and 1 touchdown, they said goodbye.
You look good 5 games with Tampa. Then you take off your pads and run off the field mid-game. 4 red flags. And now you put your ass in a woman's face who you do not know and then suplex her.
Yeah, I think he thinks he got Riz or something. I mean, at least he got a Super Bowl ring, so.
Yeah. He said Tampa, I want a Super Bowl. I'm out. See ya.
Right.
All right. So interesting conversation to end on with Antonio Brown. So that is going to be wrapping up the episode, guys. I want to thank you all for watching and listening. If you're on YouTube, make sure you give us a subscribe and like button. You can go over to our TikTok at Macomb's Finest. You will find all of our TikTok shit on there. So make sure you go like there and comment what your favorite NFL team is. So like, subscribe, do all that shenanigans. And we were going to see you guys next time in our week. Was it week 6? Week 6 predictions, week 5 recap next week. Peace out.